Today, I'm going to show you how to seal your expansion joints because winter was a bitch. And because you didn't seal your expansion joints last year like you were supposed to. Let's get to it. But this is seriously the easiest project to do. And the best part is that piping this stuff out is incredibly satisfying. But you know what an expansion joint is. It is a controlled joint that allows two different slabs to expand and contract between the seasons and prevents cracking. But over time, the expansion joint material that was put in here when the slab was originally poured wears away over time and it erodes, therefore allowing water and air to get underneath the slab and erode away the soil, which then cause cracks in your slab. So we are going to pipe out this self-leveling sealant material into the expansion joint, which is going to prevent that erosion from happening. Now, just a quick breakdown on the Rapid Set self-leveling sealant that I'm using on this project. This is a hybrid saline polyether base as opposed to the polyurethane bases. Now, what that means to you is that it is way better UV resistant, way better durability, way better flexibility, and way better adhesion. I mean, this stuff will bond in damp conditions. And it is very low VOC, which means it doesn't have a really bad odor, again, like the polyurethane bases. Lastly, it has a very fast cure time, which is very important because that means you have less of a chance of leaves and debris getting stuck in this stuff while you're piping it out. Ask me how I know. Which brings me to my first big tip. Do not do this on a very windy day. You've been warned. But we got some prep work to do. I'm gonna start by scraping out all the debris and soil and whatever else got stuck in here. About 1 inch down. All right, now we got all the debris out. Now we wanna make sure that the sides are clean. So whatever you gotta do, wire brush is my tool of choice when cleaning sides like this. Get rid of any kind of bond inhibitor that will not allow this material to bond to the sides. All right, now our expansion joints are clean, free of loose debris. Now we've got to install backer rod. This is a spongy foam-like material that is going to not only take up all the space in here, but it's going to prevent our material from finding its way all the way down into this crack, therefore wasting all this expensive material that we just bought. But this is also going to allow the material to only bond to the two sides. It's not gonna bond to this stuff, which is gonna be on the bottom. So therefore, we are creating this 1/2 inch layer of sealant material that is bonded on two sides that will expand and contract with the seasons. If we lay 1 inch or more thick material in here, then we're just forming this hard block of rubber that's not going to expand and contract, and it's gonna bond in places we don't want it to. Therefore, it's going to create delamination, cracks, all your hard work gone to waste. Oh, and another point is that, say your crack is 3/8 of an inch wide. You want to go with a backer rod that is just a tad bigger, so you would want to go with a 1/2 inch backer rod. If your expansion joint is a 1/2 inch wide, go with 5/8. This particular one is like 7/8, so I'm going with a 1 inch backer rod. You want to squeeze this material in there rather than let it be loose. If it's loose, once we pipe out the material, it's gonna float to the top, I promise. You ain't gonna want that. So it's very simple. You stuff this stuff in here, and the goal is to get it 1/2 inch below the surface. I've made this really cool handmade tool that has a 1/2 inch notch to where I can gauge this all the way down the expansion joint. Again, don't go over a 1/2 inch. You want this material to stay thin so that it will expand and contract. A big update here is that in previous videos that I've done, the alternative that I've given you to backer rod is using an all-purpose sand to fill in those large voids, which is still a viable option if you absolutely need it. But too many people are experiencing delamination because after they've poured the sand into the void, they're not making sure that the sides are clean of the sand before they pipe this stuff out. So with all that being said, if you absolutely have to use the sand option, just make sure that those sides are clean. We got one more thing to do, which is In a lot of cases, you're gonna come into spots like this, where there's an exit, where you don't want the sealant to go. See, so this sealant is very soupy. It's gonna run anywhere where there's no barriers. So we're gonna take the same kind of material, only this is the non-sag version, non-self-leveling, and we're gonna create a barrier with this stuff. Do that on all your exit points, where you don't want the material to go. And then we can start piping. Well, the good news is, that was the hardest part. Bad news is, this is gonna make for a really short video. Actually, that's good news as well. All right, we're ready for piping. Now these particular caulk tubes, you know with regular caulk tubes, there is a sealant side that you have to puncture with either a nail or some sort of rod. With this stuff, it comes with a swizzle stick nozzle. Go ahead and take that off. And there is a nipple on top. Go ahead and slice the top off with the utility knife, but leave the threads. Go ahead and screw your swizzle stick on. Press your thumb on this back trigger here and pull the rod out, then just click the tip off. Oh, and don't forget to cut this silly little tab off. Place your sealant in the cartridge and take up the slack. Now we're ready for piping. I like to have some cardboard available to avoid messes, and a place for me to set down my dirty rags and my caulk gun that might be leaking a little bit. All right, slow and steady wins the race on this one. Now, when you've come to an endpoint, stop, release the pressure before you take the nozzle anywhere else, spin it around to get that booger that's hanging off the end. Then, grab a rag that you have in your back pocket, place it under the nozzle, then you can take it somewhere and place it down. This is gonna save you a ton of headache, a ton of mess. But if you do make a mess, acetone cleanup with this stuff. Now I'm sure as you're noticing, I did not put any backer rod in this particular line. I just simply was not able to dig down deep enough to be able to insert any backer rod in there. And this is okay. The material's not gonna go where it's not supposed to, and it still will not bond to the bottom. As long as I keep the sides clean, we're good. Another great tip while piping this stuff out, try to keep the tip of the nozzle buried inside of the product. This will avoid bubbles, and it will get you a much smoother consistency. All right, that's it. So I started this job at noon. It is 1:56. So with filming, this only took me 2 hours. If you're not doing a YouTube video, this should only take you 1. Now, this is going to be tack-free in about 1 hour in the 70° Fahrenheit realm. But I would try not to drive on this for a good 24 hours. This job was about 24 linear feet. This line here was 1 inch wide. This line here was a 1/2 inch wide. And it took 2 tubes to complete this particular job, just to give you an idea of how much material you might be using. But there is a helpful chart on the back of the bottle to help you figure out how much material you need for your particular job. But again, 1 hour, tack-free, don't drive on it for about 24 hours, and you're good to go. So be kind, be present, and do your part.